Hey yo guys, what's up and welcome back to Toe Tags Metal Reviews, and today is our final review for st.anger by Metallica. Alright guys, in true to Toe Tags fashion, we listened to this album as much as we possibly could through the entire week. As much of a chore as that might have seemed, we did it! And I'm going to pass the floor to TV Fish to let us know his thoughts on this album.
Well, I can certainly tell you it was a struggle to get through this album throughout the week. However, we're finally here and we did it, we made it, and we survived. So this album, from listening to it so much, I devised, kind of an idea of what is really wrong here. And I figured there are four kind of macro scale mistakes that were made on this album that made it what it is.
Okay.
Those being bad production and mixing, bad performances, bad lyrics, and unnecessarily long songs. Now, there's some of these are kind of worse than others. I think the least worst thing out of these four is bad lyrics.
Yeah.
Because despite there being some dumb lyrics and whatnot, it's not really the end of the world. But I guess, now that I'm on that, I can start with that. I feel like some of these lyrics are kind of forced to the point of we couldn't think of anything else here, so we'll just kind of throw that together.
Yeah.
Some of it are either dumb, cheesy, or just completely nonsensical. And, it kind of relates to the deliverance of the vocals as well, because some of these vocals, how do you deliver them and make them sound good? Like frantic, tick, 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 talk. You don't, it's really hard to kind of say that line and make it sound good. Like, that's just kind of a challenge in and of itself.
Yeah.
But I do think, the lyrics are kind of the least worst thing here. If we're going to talk about the song lengths, there's too many songs on this album that are like 7 to 8 minutes long, and it's just full of padding. Because what they do for most of these tracks is they got the form, they copy and paste it once, they have a bridge that tends to suck, and then a chorus at the end to finish it off.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen Metallica kind of do that with their stuff before, but in that bridge they usually have either something interesting or a solo, and they went the route of no solos on this album. And you know what? That can be totally okay, and that was kind of a trend at the time. However, if you're not going to put a solo out on a song like that, you need to have some awesome grooves and riffs, or some nasty kind of breakdown or something to give it substance, because there was none. Like, for songs of that length on this record, there was no substance in those chunks, And if we look at a bridge like The Unnamed Feeling, that has one of the worst vocal performances on this album. It's brutal. And, I guess that gets to the next point, bad performances. It's inconsistent with this album. You have, like that bridge on The Unnamed Feeling and how awkward and weird it sounds. You have the ending of All Within My Hands. Kill, 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 kill. You have the bridge for Invisible Kid. That's another example. It just sounds like a disaster.
So bad.
But then you do have some good moments of vocals as well. And I think the title track is probably the best vocals on this album. In general, I think that song is probably the best on this record. I had the least... I feel like that song has the least wrong with it among all the songs. And I, in fact, like that song. I think it's a good song.
I like it too.
And, some guitar riffs kind of felt a bit dull. The bass, I couldn't even tell if it was there sometimes. The drums felt a bit inconsistent with timing at points.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the fact that his snares are off in half these songs. You honestly could make them better just from turning them on alone. Mm-hmm. I understand the creativity there, like what if I have my snares off, but he's playing it as if they're on.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. It just doesn't sound good. And the final issue here is just bad production and mixing. And, if you fixed that aspect of the title track, it would be a solid track. Straight up. Mm-hmm. I feel like if you fix the sound of, the drums, the snare drum, the kick, the weird, how strong the cymbals tend to be, and the guitars make them less muddy, make the bass actually audible. If you fix those aspects of that song, it would help a lot. Mm-hmm. But that's really the only thing that's really dragging that song down. But I think, it's like that's just a big problem throughout this entire album. And if you fix that you know what, that's probably the biggest one. I think the production of this album is the biggest problem, and if you fix just that one, the album would be a lot more bearable to listen to.
You know what? I'm gonna say I agree with a lot of things you said, but there's a few things I disagree with. Let's start with the production, since you went on about production for a while. I think the production on this album is actually really high. The reason why it sucks is because they made bad choices. It's not that it's mixed poorly by accident. It is exactly how they wanted it to sound. This is the sound they went for.
Yeah.
So in there, it's not like Bob Rock mixed it poorly. He did exactly what the band wanted him to. Lars was probably in the studio saying, "Yeah, man, turn my snare up a little higher, or a little higher, or a little higher, or a little higher." You know what I mean? Like, he's going, "Okay, like, it sounds like crap, but if this is what the band wants, then we're gonna do it." Right?
Yeah, I mean, he was on board with what they were doing, and you can kind of get a perspective of that in the documentary about the making of this album, which was an interesting watch. But I think, like, I totally see the concept they were going for here. They wanted a garage band kind of sound that was very raw and very unfiltered.
Riding the momentum of new metal.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that again.
Exactly, yeah, I don't know, I totally see that. I just think they went a little bit overboard with this sound. You can still emulate the garage band vibe and have it work. They just kind of went a little too far, said, "Yeah, do that one take, James. Oh, your voice sounds kind of dumb. Whatever, keep it." You know, I feel like you don't need to go that far to replicate that kind of sound. Like, that's just excessive, you know?
I feel like there was a lot of ideas there, but pretty much none of them were executed properly. He spent some time talking about James's vocals and the lyrics and stuff like that. I got, honestly, a ton of things I could say about the vocals and the lyrics and things like that, but I decided just to make a little clip for you guys to listen to, so check this out. It's pretty bad, but here you go. That's right, James. Snuff is snuff. But there are a couple highlights on this album for me. St. Anger, as TV Fish said, is a pretty decent track. If you can get over for me, it's the snare on that song that holds it back, but the rest of the song is very good. But the highlight track on this album for me is The Unnamed Feeling. I love this song. I have loved this song for years. When this album first came out, I loved this song. I'm not going to go into details or anything, but during the time when this album came out, I was at probably the darkest point of my life ever. And that song resonated with me. Do I know why exactly? I'm not sure. But when I listen to it now, I'm trying to think of what the lyrics mean to me and how I interpret them and all these things. And I just found it very fascinating. Like, obviously, it's up to interpretation, like most lyrics are. But to me, The Unnamed Feeling it's like, okay, like a lot of people deal with depression and suicidal thoughts and things like that. The unnamed feeling is the feeling you get right before you do it, right? You could be sitting on the edge of a bridge. You could have a gun in your mouth, razor blade to the wrist, noose around your neck, and you're sitting there thinking, all your thoughts are going through your head, but it's not until you get the unnamed feeling that you actually commit. That's what I think the unnamed feeling is. And if you listen to the lyrics, when he says things like, I'm waiting for this train, my toes are over the line, you could take that literally or figuratively. So literally, he's standing on a train platform. There's the little line that says do not cross. His toes are over that line because he's just waiting for that train to come. And he's also waiting for the unnamed feeling, so he's going to commit to do it, right? Or it could be figurative. Like I said, you have the gun in your mouth. You're just waiting for that last thing to hit you to make you say, okay, I'm doing it, and pop, you know what I mean? If you think about it that way, the song becomes very powerful. And that's something that I consider when I'm talking and thinking about what makes music heavy. It's not always the chunkiness of the riffs. It's not always the speed of the double bass or the depth of the growl. It's the weight that the lyrics hold and the weight that the message holds that makes music heavy for me. And this song, I think, does an excellent job at that. Also, to contest something TV Fish said a minute ago, because you shat on the vocals in this song, I think The Unnamed Feeling has one of James's best vocal performances, bar none.
I said the bridge. I didn't say the whole song.
No, I know, you said the bridge, but I'm still contesting that. I don't care. The bridge is amazing. This whole song, vocally, because there's just raw emotion in it. I feel like when James is singing this song, he's singing it from a place that's deep inside. And I feel that, I can sense that. And to me, that's what makes this song just like, it glorifies this album because of that song.
Well, I feel like, I agree with you about that song overall. It's just the bridge is just what keeps hurting it for me. Because I put this song on, I like how emotional and dark and sad this song is. And I really, like I said last week, feel the passion in this song. But every time I get to that awkward sounding bridge, I think just, ooh. However, aside from that, I do dig this song. It's good. A few of the grooves are maybe a little bit iffy at times, but overall, it's a lot better than the majority of this record. Now, if I were to comment on, some of the other things about this album I like. I mean, like I mentioned, St. Anger, title track, best song in the album. I do enjoy that track a lot. I feel it's emotional, it's strong, it kind of has a bite to it. Like, it does everything right to a degree, The riffs in Frantic are okay. There's this one part of Dirty Window where he says, chord is in session, and I slam my gavel down. Honestly, that part is sick. I love the way his voice sounds. It's almost growly.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though.
Grit.
I love that moment, but I put this song on, and I'm like, that's the only thing about this song I like. So do I really want to listen to this song just for this one tiny moment? Because the rest of it just sucks? I actually think Shoot Me Again is not bad. I kind of dig that song. I dig the chorus melody there. It's a bit cheesy at times, but overall I think that is one of the stronger tracks. And I like the melody from All Within My Hands. But that song does certainly drag, and it's a hellaciously bad ending.
Alright, well, let's get to ratings. I think we've said a lot of stuff, so you can go ahead.
Well, it was kind of really hard to consider rating this album just because of how it is. And throughout the week, I've, talked to a bunch of people. I watched the movie twice. It was a really good movie, honestly. And, I even checked out like a re-recording of this album to see what it could have been, and it could have been decent. But these 4 macro-sized issues just bogged the album down, and I'm hating it throughout the entire week. There was never really a point where it's really growing. I just felt like I got used to it, And I feel like there's a difference between this album's growing on me and I can tolerate it now. So the fact that there's so many just large-scale, huge problems that just make it garbage, half the album, honestly, I think half the album is practically unlistenable. I'm giving it a 1.5. It's really just, it's brutal. And that 0.5 in there is the promise. There's a few good moments. There's one overall solid song and one pretty good song. But I just think that just on a large scale, the problems stack up way too high. And if you listen to that re-recorded version of this album, you'll see a lot of the excess cut. You'll see better performances.
See where the potential was.
Exactly. You'll see where the potential was, and this album could have been decent.
1.5. Yeah, you know what? Like I said, there's a couple songs I like. The Unnamed Feeling, I like this song. It resonates with me on a personal level. It has for many, many years. It probably always will. St. Anger, also a good track. That's 2 out of 11. So basically, I could sit here and I can give it like a 2 or a 1.5, like TV Fish said. But you guys also have to understand, you're getting thoughts right now from 2 people that spent the entire week listening to this album. Like, I probably listened to this album 30 times, and that's just a random ballpark I'm throwing out. That's a lot to take a bad album in. When you do this, you start to get used to things. You start to get used to the snare sound. You start to get used to the bad production or whatever. You start to get used to these bad choices they're making in the cringy vocals.
And you start to tolerate it a little bit more because of that.
And it also starts to become a little bit forgivable. So in a way, we're almost being nice, even though we're not being nice in a way, right? I really don't know what to rate this album. I'm just gonna give it a no out of 10. Just don't listen to it.
Jeez.
It's not worth your time unless you want to laugh at it.
The only time I can really suggest this album is if you were to come to me and say, hey, I don't know what the whole thing about this album is. Why is it so bad? What is it? And I'll say, you know what? Give it a listen. But give it one. Only one.
Yeah.
Do not listen to it as much as we did. We suffered enough this week listening to this record. But that title track's pretty good.
Anyways, guys, it's a 1.5 from TV Fish, and it's a straight up no for me. That's it for this review of st.anger. I'm glad we got this done. It was a bit of a chore, but you know, we gotta do what we gotta do. But anyways, leave your thoughts down below. Let us know what you guys think of this album. You guys already gave us your thoughts before, but tell us again. Maybe you guys listened to it throughout the week like we did. Who knows? Anyways, guys, that's it for the video. Like it if you liked it. Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. I'm Vile Self.
I'm TV Fish.
See you guys in the next one.